Right, it's 11 o'clock. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Women in Sectional Title webinar. Today, we're going to provide you with tips and tools to better self-manage and self-manage differently. Assisting us in this wonderful journey of ours and growing this amazing platform are 5 sponsors: ZDFin, providing smart finance for community schemes; a CIA, building insurance specialists. We have a BCM Track, and they do community schemes software. A Meeting Pal, which does all our apps for online meetings. And last but not least, Sectional Title Solutions. They provide energy efficiency, smart technology, and of course, advisory services too. So before we start, I'd like to also direct you to our videos spot on our website, which is www.womeninsectionaltitle.co.za. There we talk about the sponsors, we have interviews with them, and all the videos of the webinars. Bearing mention is the most recent interview I did with a lady by the name of Vita Wilkins. So Vita is at the University of Pretoria, and they've put together a fantastic program. It's 1-year online property management course, which is recognized by the University of Pretoria. It would be really, really good. It's a huge step in the right direction, and one which we here at Women in Sectional Title wholeheartedly support, and we'd like to see many, many women going through that program. Right, so we all agree that the community scheme environment is really, really not for sissies. I know for a fact that today I'm speaking to so many women who are busy and stressed, and they've got change in their lives, not change of life, hopefully, change in their lives. And I think that change is a really, really powerful energy. We've had exponential change in the last 10 years, which has been nothing short of mind-blowing. And here to help us navigate through these challenging times and to become more resilient is our fabulous guest speaker, who I'm very proud to introduce to you, the MD of Resilient People, Joni Peddie. Hi, Joni. Welcome.
Great. Thank you, Marina, and lovely to be here.
And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Joni. I need to put my glasses on for this. So Joni holds a Bachelor of Social Science degree. She is an executive and team performance coach, human behaviorist, the author of The Fab Quotient, which experience resilience and fight fatigue, associate president of the Professional Speakers Association of South Africa, a Global Speaker Federation board member, an advanced EQ intelligence practitioner, and also a practitioner in the Enneagram personality systems. So we have a really, really interesting lady over here. And Joni, your philosophy is to inspire actionable resilience for an optimal life. Tell us a little bit about your philosophy.
So thank you, Marina. Yes, and it's there's so much science out there about how to be resilient, how to navigate change, as you were saying earlier. And I love to take all of that science, collate it, and to inspire people to say, what are the small, tiny steps you can do? What is actionable? What is pragmatic? Because we all lead busy lives. And I would imagine the women on the call are the same as you and I. You know, lots of stress, little bit of time. You know, how do we maximize everything we do? So if we can make a few little changes, a few tiny habits, and that can really change our way of being, make us more energized, more agile to ride the waves of change, then we're on the right track.
So Joni, you've spoken to thousands and thousands of corporates across the country over the many years that you've been involved as a speaker. And I remember the Industrial Development Corporation in 2012, I was at a seminar. They were saying, I've still got the notes from it, they were saying that by the year 2020, And I know for a fact it stayed in my mind because my daughter would have been 20 in 2020. They said by 2020, you will be 44 times busier than you are in 2012. Would you agree with that?
I would totally agree with that. So it's an onslaught that 44 times busier, and it has huge negative consequences. So I belong to a worldwide group called 6 Seconds. It's the largest EQ network in the world. And we'll be doing a lot of work this month, and have been, because it's Worldwide Mental Wellbeing Month. So, it's just this onslaught of 44 times busier, and it's hard for, I'm steeped in kind of neuro leadership and neuroscience, and it's hard for our brains to cope when we're so much busier.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to hand over to you to talk us through how we can become more resilient women in our lives and at work.
Great. And what I'm going to suggest is that, Marina, if you can watch the chat box, and if there are any questions, please, ladies, feel free to put it in the chat box. I will be sharing my email address so that you can get hold of me. And also, I will be sharing some gifts with you today, should you make some behavioral changes, because I'm a behaviorist. So please, Marina, will you watch the chat box? We're going to do 5 different resilience techniques. I'm going to say safety belts on. I'm going to say pen up, and you need to be writing some notes. And then Marina, at the end of each of the 5 sections, I'm going to stop and say, is there a theme in terms of questions, or are there any questions? And I can answer a few questions as we go, and I will manage the time that way. Okay, folks. If you can, Marina, if you can give me the option to share my screen, please.
Will do.
Right, there we go. Let me put it on full screen mode. Oh, it's gone back to, this is a presentation I've just come out of, which was an Enneagram presentation, to your point. So let's just stop sharing that one. So I had your one queued up, and it brought up the previous one.
No problem.
It was a lovely Enneagram presentation. And I was laughing with Cheryl, who works with me, because that was on MS Teams. And oh my goodness, on MS Teams, I'm on an Apple Mac. The MS Teams was just playing up, and that PowerPoint I restarted 3 times. And now we're on Zoom, which is my preferred platform. And the PowerPoint from MS Teams is coming up. So that's just so hilarious, the way things work.
Perfect.
So yours was queued, and now it went off. So now I've got to re-queue it. Apologies for that. But I can carry on talking. I can multitask.
It's okay. I can tell you, we've recently went on an Enneagram course, actually, my partner and I. Yeah, it was with Pam Rue. It was actually fantastic.
I know Pam well, yes. Yeah,
to find out about the 9 different personality types, I would really recommend it to anybody who's, even in your family life and your work life. These courses are fantastic.
Yeah. So what I'm doing with this particular EXCO team that I've just been online with is that I did a half-day workshop for them on the 7th of May. And then now I'm invited to every single EXCO meeting, and they're big ones, obviously once a month. And I'm taking the learning and splicing it up, micro learning. So Marina, to your point, is that, very often we, this onslaught of stuff for all of us. So it's rather do little bits of micro learning than try and do too much at once. So on my Apple Mac, I'm having a day because it now has got the wheel of death, and it's
don't worry, maybe you can just talk us through it.
I'm going to talk you through it, exactly. So this is a full term. So I want you to please work with me. In your or on your piece of paper, I'd like you to write boost down the side. So I just wrote some notes in preparing for you guys and having a look at your website. So I've got a piece of paper next to me, and I will just demonstrate your resilience. That's an acronym, and it's BWRS. OOST. So that's what I would like down the margin of your piece of paper. And then I would like you to write notes and ideas of what you want to do differently as a result of this chat together. So what does B stand for? B stands for, anyone want to guess? Actually, take yourself off mute. If there are 5 ways to be more resilient, what does B stand for?
Behavior.
Behavior. Could do.
Belief.
Bold.
Belief, it certainly could do. Bold. Behavior, belief, and bold.
Brave.
Brave. Okay, these are all attributes. This is, I'm going to put you out your misery. B is for bed. So, it's, I told you I'm pragmatic. And I told you that I love the brain. So if we have a look at the brain, how many neurons can you grow per day? We all thought that, you know, we'd grow these neurons in our mother's tummies when we were in the womb, and then we've got these 100 billion neurons for life, and that's it. And when we knocked our head in the playground, we fell off a swing or we fell off the seesaw, we'd lose a few. Then at high school, we'd, you know, on the hockey field, we'd lose a few more. And then at university, we'd lose a lot if we drank too much. But actually, no, we can grow 700 new neurons a day, but only when you sleep well. So the B is for bed, and it's absolutely to 9 hours sleep a night. So minimum 7, okay? The research is out, and I've got 2 books here that I brought to show you. The one is a book by Dr. David Perlmutter. He wrote this book with his son, actually, Austin Perlmutter. They're both doctors. And I go on a lot of different conferences and courses and obviously speak on some of them. And 2 weeks ago, I was on a biohacking course virtually in the States, and Dr. David Perlmutter was speaking as well about the brain and sleep. So you need minimum 7 hours a night. If you are sleeping 6 hours a night, I want to tell you categorically that there is a likelihood that you would get Alzheimer's. So why is this? So a little bit of brain science to substantiate this, because this might be a behavior change that you want to make in terms of number of hours you sleep, is that in 7 consecutive hours, your brain gets rid of a toxin that is built up during the day, and that toxin is called beta amyloid. So you grow these 700 neurons a day, and there's a plaque that builds up during the day as well between the neurons called beta amyloid. So your brain has to flush that out at night. So you need 7 hours minimum. You may think, Joni, you know, I'm unique and I survive very well on 5.5 or 6. I'm telling you categorically that it's a likelihood you will get Alzheimer's. The latest sleep research that came out last Friday, so I'm very up to date with what's happening worldwide, is that people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, this is 8,000 people, it's a meta study, are getting Alzheimer's because of lack of sleep issue. There is a medical term we are now using, and it's called coronasomnia. So people are becoming insomniacs because of this fear of COVID or corona. So, you know, are my parents safe? My children who's away from home, my colleagues, what's happening to my business, etc., etc. So all of you as businesswomen are suffering high cortisol levels, and high cortisol, high adrenaline, and not being able to sleep at night is problematic for your brain. So if you want to be resilient, it's minimum 7 hours a night. The second part of the sleep story, and B for bed, which is the first part of this BOOST acronym in the 5 letters, is that if you're not wearing blue blockers from 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm telling you now that you are not producing enough melatonin. This is a pair of blue blocker glasses. They're made and assembled by a South African company, which I'm so pleased about because I love supporting South African businesses. And the business is called Truly Blue. At the end of this, I will give you my website. If you wanted to buy some, you could go through me and get a special deal because I'm an affiliate of theirs. But I have to say to you categorically, and I've been doing this now probably for about, about 5 years actually, because I was invited to be in a conference with Arianna Huffington, who, you remember, she had to sell her business because she fell asleep at her desk and cracked open her cheekbone and broke her jaw on her glass desk because of lack of sleep. I was in a conference with her in Washington, D.C., and before that conference, I wasn't as focused on sleep, if I have to be honest. I was focused on other resilience elements. And I'd written my book already on Feel Fab and Experience Resilience and Fight Fatigue, but sleep wasn't a big story in my life. In reading her book, The Sleep Revolution, I started to think, okay, how do I read a novel at night, have that paper novel next to my bed? And I started to research blue blockers. The first blue blockers I came across worldwide were red ones, which were great. They blocked out the blue light, but difficult to read my book at night or even do any computer work at night if I had to. So the question you may be asking yourself is, why blue blockers? Joni, is this really important for quality sleep? And the answer is absolutely. Because when we lived on the veldt, so when we lived outdoors and taking shelter in caves, what happened? As the sun set, that beautiful red ball in the sky, the eyes would then be triggered to say to the brain, okay, there's red out there, we need to produce melatonin. Melatonin gives you deep stage 4, deepest sleep, which helps that beta amyloid come out your brain, and it helps you wake up feeling refreshed. So if you wear these from about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, what happens is your brain starts to say, right, I need to develop and produce melatonin. So by the time you go to bed at 8 or 9 or 10 or 11, you've got enough melatonin in your brain to keep you in a deep, deep sleep. So 2 parts to the sleep story is, 1, you absolutely have to make sure minimum 7 hours a night. And the second part is that if you're not wearing blue blockers, these are a must. So I actually just sit and present with them often with them on, but I normally do that in the afternoon. Marina, are there any B for Boost questions in the chat box?
No, I don't see any questions yet, but I'm a big believer in the sleep story, Joni, and I'm also an ardent follower of Arianna Huffington.
Yes.
I've read her book, and I'm on the Thrive, the Thrive social media platforms.
Yeah.
My family laughs at me because I go to bed quite early. And I always say, well, I'm actually like Ronaldo, because he also goes to bed at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Then I wake up at 4:15 to go walking as well. So, yeah, for me, you can't underestimate sleep. 100% agree. And, we've got one lady saying, please send details, read blue blockers. So we'll do that afterwards.
Yeah, okay. So I'll give you those details at the end. Marina, you and I have the same circadian rhythm. That's the body clock rhythm. As I also go to bed 8:30, 9 o'clock, latest lights out, and I'm also up at 4:15. So it's when you understand the rhythm of your body, I'm not saying everybody needs to do that, but it's beautiful when you get yourself into a rhythm. And I luckily wake up without an alarm clock, because my body feels well rested, because I've got enough melatonin, it's flushed out all the toxins in my brain, and I wake up with a spring in my step, and I'm on the road literally with my mates at 5:10 running. So it's a lovely way to start the day. Okay, so I'll send you the blue blockers. Here's another tip as well. I'm just making notes on my Boost here, is that I use a lovely app, which I use the free version, and it's called Sleep Cycle. So the Sleep Cycle app, it really just, you put your phone next to your bed. Your phone must be, everybody, on airplane mode, because the electrical magnetic fields that come out of your phone will cause brain cancer, breast cancer, or prostate cancer for your significant other. The research is out. The guy, if you want to follow his research, is Dr. Mercola, Mercola. So I am absolutely vociferous that my phone next to my bed on airplane mode. And then I use Sleep Cycle as a free app just to track my sleep. So, how quickly did I go into deep stage 4 sleep? you circle up to a rapid eye movement and you circle down, stage 1 and 2. Stage 1 and 2 is when the dog barks or a house alarm goes off, you'll wake up quite quickly. And it's lovely to see, become more sleep aware and to track your sleep. So if you want to, the World Economic Forum says we want to have more critical thinking, better emotional intelligence, better problem-solving capabilities in this very turbulent, ever-changing world in which we live in. You absolutely need to honor your brain with great quality sleep, so hence the melatonin, and quantity sleep as well. So those two are a must. Okay, I'm going to move off B for bed. I use my left hand as an anchor for this, and maybe you would want to do the same. The pinky finger, I don't know if any of you as young children ever played this with your parents, where you said, I pinky promise I'll do this. And your mum might have said, please go and wash the dishes, Joni. And you'd say, I pinky promise I'll do it. I just really want to go outside and play with my friends for another 20 minutes. So it's that pinky promise to yourself is around the bed. Then the second finger on the left hand, in terms of this acronym, boost your resilience, is your ring finger. What is your commitment to yourself? And your commitment to yourself is oxygen. So the O is oxygen to your brain. So I have to say, from a mental well-being perspective, and on the biohacking conferences and the many other associations I belong to, is cleaning up your mental mess is imperative. This is a great book that was launched in March this year in America called Clean Up Your Mental Mess. It's by Dr. Caroline Leaf. She was born in Zimbabwe, South Africa, and now is a doctor who lives in the States, and she focuses on the brain and speaks very specifically about oxygen to the brain. Oxygen to the brain is exercise. So not everybody's as mad as Marina going walking early in the morning, or Joni going running early in the morning, or Marina, you're doing Pilates last night, you said to me. So it is important to get oxygen, but you don't have to go to the gym or enjoy running, cycling, canoeing, or whatever else. My suggestion to all of you is that you actually take your mobile phone and you program in, and I'll show you authentically what I do, is I program in during the day all sorts of times that my mobile phone will go off. So that you'll see my husband just says, oh, Joni, really? So many times on your phone. So yes, I sit and I look at my diary, I look at the meetings I have, and then I program in for my alarm to go off, to remind me, because I too can get really involved in a proposal or a strategy document for my clients, but to remind me to get up. So Marina, in our early morning exercises, the research is showing that if you sit for longer than 2 hours, your good cholesterol goes down by 40%. So you want to be able to get up, and I've got a rebounder on my veranda here, one of those mini trampolines. If you wanted to have a look at our website, you could have a look at that. The research on that rebounder is if you rebound for 2 minutes, so you just jump, it's nothing vigorous, for 2 minutes, it's equivalent to a 10-minute swim and a 22-minute walk and a 6-minute run. So here's my own research, is that in lockdown 5, when we weren't allowed out of our gates to exercise, all I did was jump on my rebounder. When we were allowed to exercise between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m., I went out there and I ran 10 kilometers without even batting an eyelid or a bead of sweat. So I went from 0 exercise to 10 kilometers because I was so fit on that rebounder. So my suggestion to you is get a rebounder, get a skipping rope, stand up next to your desk, do 10 squats every hour, but you've got to move your body every single hour if you can. And I need an alarm, still I've been doing years, because I get engrossed in my work and I love what I do. So, like, gee, 2 hours can go by or 3 hours can go by and I haven't moved. So we really, really need to remind ourselves, oxygen to our brain. This is the commitment, the ring finger to actually having a strong brain. And if you want to be able to think about your business and think about, what are you going to be doing differently in the property sector, whether you're an owner or trustee or a portfolio manager, what are you doing differently? So oxygen needed to the brain. So that's the second part of the tip for boost. Any questions around that?
Well, you've got quite a quiet bunch today. You've got quite a quiet bunch today, Joni. But at the end of the day, for me as well, personally, exercise is everything. I see so many people, young, old, all wanting to go to doctors for medication. What can we take? It's almost like there's got to be this instant gratification. What pill can I take to feel better? I'm saying get moving. You know, I fully agree with you. Just get moving. I can see, you see the benefits immediately, and it's just to join a group or do something like that. So yeah.
And actually, the join a group is important. I mean, there's quite a lot of research around longevity where there's community. So I find for myself is I would never go running in the morning if I hadn't joined a group. And I've got really good mates, and we laugh and we joke, and it's the time is set, you pitch or you don't pitch or whatever, but the join a group is a really good and important part of that. So a sense of community around your exercise, even if it's an afternoon walk with some good mates or your children. I know I've got a 21-year-old and 23-year-old. If I want to talk to my 21-year-old, walk, and then of course bribery is alive and well, she'll want a cappuccino after that walk. So but it's really a great way to connect with significant others, is to get out there and exercise, to do a walk. So I saw the chat box before we started. Sorry, I saw some people in the Cape, hello from a cold, wet Cape. And then I saw a lady from Alberton saying, and hello from a sunny Alberton. So I'm sorry for you guys in the Cape. Suffer today because you've got that gorgeous mountain and we're jealous. We don't care that it's raining.
Correct. Joni, also I want to just ask you, on the bribery and corruption front, you do need to give me a few tips after this, because I haven't been able to bribe my daughter into walking early, although she tells me her rebounder is the trend. So I must just leave her alone.
Yeah, just leave her alone. My 23-year-old gets up and runs, no problem. My 21-year-old, I don't do early mornings and whatever. I got her out this week, and twice this week I didn't. So we did Monday and Tuesday, worked well. Wednesday and Thursday she's done nothing. So I'm 50-50 there, Marina. I'm still trying to get her there. Okay, so that's the ring finger, ladies. We're on to the third tip now. And the third tip now is the middle finger. And I'm not going to put my middle finger up, but it's the opposite of that. So this is the open your heart. This is the fact that people with emotional intelligence outperform people with high intellectual quotient, IQ, 70% of the time. And believe you me, this is big data. So as I mentioned earlier, I belong to 6 Seconds, their .org organization. We have actually designed a resilience assessment together, 6 Seconds and myself and another UK company, because they have got 25 years of emotional intelligence data. So that's a lot of data from 174 countries. When the United Nations want to speak about the 17 World Sustainability Goals, they call in 6 Seconds as a company. So the company's name is based on the brain, because this is the executive functioning of your brain behind your forehead. We call it the prefrontal cortex. And then the limbic system is really underneath the neocortex in the back of the brain. And if you are having an emotional hijack where you're getting mad, glad, sad, or afraid, any of those predominant emotions, your prefrontal cortex doesn't work. And it takes 6 seconds for that intense emotion to quieten down and then your brain to reintegrate. And hence the name of the organization is based on medical science. So what I wanted to share with you, and what I plan to share with you, is in terms of emotional intelligence, there's a lot we can learn. And behind me here, and those are the 8 competencies which are all teachable. So we've just spoken about the Enneagram earlier, Marina, and I'd just like to use a metaphor here. So all of us have played on some form of playground before and played on a seesaw. So if you just imagine two little children playing on a seesaw. Let's call it, we're on a women's group here, so let's call it Jane on one end of the seesaw, and let's call it Sally, let's call her Sally on the other end of the seesaw. And they are doing their bit and having a whole lot of fun. Jane, the metaphor is that's intellectual quotient, IQ. Sally, the metaphor here is the Enneagram of personality, because the research is that you are born one of these 9 personality styles. Even if you're born, if you have an identical twin born, seconds after you or seconds before you as a sister, she would have a different Enneagram style. So these two children playing on the seesaw are the given, okay? They're having a whole lot of fun. What makes the seesaw go up and down is the fulcrum of the seesaw. So that enables that seesaw to move. And the metaphor now, if I summarize, we've got IQ here, we've got personality here. The fulcrum is EQ, emotional quotient, which can help improve your intellectual quotient and help improve your the strengths of your personality. The Enneagram is 3-dimensional, so we look at healthy versions, average versions, and unhealthy versions of your own personality style. So we need to learn some emotional intelligence. And what I'm planning for you today, it's just one of these 8 competencies, is what we call emotional literacy. So just think to yourself here, let's get some interaction going, and write in the chat box now, how many words do you use to describe your emotions? So, happy, sad, angry, just think, are there 3, 4, 5 words you use to describe, just generally, the number of words you use to describe your emotions. What's happening in the chat box there? What are we seeing, Marina?
5. We've got a 5, we've got a 6, 15.
Okay, that's really good. That's unusual. Okay, so most groups that I do.
One emotion. Jeez, what's happening to you? 3, 4, 5.
Okay, this is exactly what I see worldwide. Is most people say 3, 4, or 5. The 15 lady, the one lady who says 15, well done. That's absolutely fantastic. So emotional literacy is a problem that we have, and I'd like you to take this information for yourself and for your significant others. So I'm going to give you a tool to use. Remember, this is practical, actionable resilience. And the tool looks like this, and I have it on my desk, but I'm going to tell you to access it. And I would have told you to access it if the Wheel of Death wasn't, even if you were seeing slides right now. This is what we call the Plutchik model of emotions. I'll spell it for you. P-L-U-T, Plut, C-H-I-K, Plutchik model of emotions. So this is practically what we do in this house, in my house, is I've printed out this wheel. I have it on my desk, I have it on my dining room table, and I have it in the kitchen. So I have 3 of them. And with my daughters, when we're describing our emotions and we're really trying to use more than 3, 4, or 5 emotional words, is we use the Plutchik model. There are 32 emotional words on that beautiful wheel of emotions. So what does that do? It makes your brain think about, actually, how am I feeling? Because often my daughters will say to me, hey, Mom, I'm in such a rage. This happened and that shouldn't happen. And they're like very dramatic. And I go, okay, let's breathe through this. Are you really in a rage? Or are you actually just annoyed? So take that intense emotion that's in the epicenter of this wheel, and it gives you an idea of how to de-escalate it. So the reason I use the Plutchik wheel of emotions is 1, there's 32 emotions. 2, it can help me de-escalate or escalate emotions. Because sometimes, there's this beautiful emotion here of ecstasy, and then you're just kind of feeling a bit of joy, but really not ecstatic about it. So we can intensify emotions or de-intensify emotions. So that's the one reason I use it. The second is it has improved my emotional literacy, because there are 32 of them. So that's really important. So print out that Plutchik model, have it somewhere overt on your desk or in your home where you can actually have good quality conversations with perhaps staff or people who live with you, your significant others. It enhances how we understand ourselves, which is part of emotional intelligence. And then I want to link this to one of the greatest books that I've read. I'm not recommending this book. It's too scientific for most people. And even for me, I did not finish it, if I have to be open and honest. But the title of the book is magnificent. And the title of the book, it's a neuroscientist who wrote it. This is the title: Change Your Words to Change Your World. So this internal dialogue, our emotions in our brains and the kind of committee meetings we have upstairs in our heads can often overwhelm us. And in this world of exponential change, we often really self-sabotage by having too many thoughts or overthinking stuff. So very often I look at the Plutchik model to change my words to change my world. And the example that I've just given about my daughters saying that they're in a rage about something, they could change that wording to say I'm annoyed, because it's not something that's that dramatic to be about. So I'm very careful about the words I use to myself, the words I use to others, and how I encourage people around me to change their words. Martina Navratilova had the most fantastic saying. She said, "The game of life is played in the 6 inches between your ears." And I just thought it's so true. I mean, there you have a world famous tennis player saying, actually, I've got to really think about how I talk to myself. So that is the middle finger. That is the second O, and it's open your heart. Start to really understand your emotions and improve your emotional literacy. Any questions or comments there, Marina?
No, nothing. We can carry on. Thank you.
Okay. Now we're getting into the S, which I use this index finger for, because I don't know about you, but I remember my mum saying to me as I was growing up, "Shh, Joni, shh, children are to be seen and not heard." I think that's a dreadful saying to say to children, and I made sure I never said that to my children. But I do laugh when I think about this, you know, shh, shh. Our teachers often said that in the classroom. But this is the finger to the lips. And please, in a time of COVID and a time of, you said it earlier, Marina, about, you know, people wanting to go and get the magic pill and the magic, you know, what I need to take vitamin-wise. But the S here in Boost is about stopping sugar. Sugar is absolutely addictive. The brain loves sugar. So does the inflammation in your body love sugar. It is really something that you should be vociferous about in terms of stopping. You should be reading ingredient labels. So I can tell you categorically from a science perspective is that if you have anything with as much as a teaspoon of sugar, you then go shopping within the next 7 hours, your immune system has been compromised. So there are double-blind studies where people were given sugar, not given sugar, and then they were given a virus, and this is before COVID, the flu virus in their nose. People who had had sugar in the last 7 hours, even a teaspoon, got that flu virus. So our bodies, it compromises your immune system. You've really got to be careful of hidden sugars. You know, when our parents grew up, there was no sugar in peanut butter. So they're hidden sugars and sauces and spreads and salad dressings, etc. You know, a health bar that we buy, you know, in the queue at the supermarket where it says, you know, healthy oats, whatever, just have a look at that ingredient list. If there's maltodextrin, dextrose, sucrose in it, those are all sugars. There are 70 different names for sugars. So in this boost part of the acronym, which is the S, I'm saying to you, read your labels, read what you've got to do. And then the other part of the S is not only stop sugar, and start supplements. So I'm sure, you know, you're all well read, but the supplements that I take on a daily basis that are non-negotiable is omega-3 for my brain. So I take omega-3 every day, I take zinc every day, I take vitamin C every day, and I take vitamin D3 every day. We live in sunny South Africa, or not the Cape Townians, but the rest of us. But vitamin D3 you actually can't get from being outside. And there's beautiful research on how that's a deterrent for COVID as well. So I'm happy I'm going to give you an invite actually to get the 3 free gifts. And when you send that to me, I can send you the quantities of those vitamins that you need to take. So stop sugar and start supplements. Our parents used to get everything they needed out of the soils and eat very close to nature. Many of us are in this instant gratification where we don't eat close to nature, and our soils, unfortunately, are quite depleted. Marina, questions on stop sugar and start supplements?
Nobody has a question. I do. What about collagen? I mean, collagen's really the buzzword now as well, Joni.
It is, yeah. So I do take extra collagen as well. I take a lot of other things, but I just like to give people the basics. The collagen I take is Sally Ann Creed. I found hers to be really good and fantastic online shop. So it's absolutely necessary for healthy skin, healthy bones, healthy nails, etc. Any other questions?
No.
Right, then we're getting on to the last part of the acronym. So we've had bed, we've had oxygen to the brain, we've had open your heart, we've had stop sugar, start supplements, and now it's time for fun. So there's beautiful brain research on the fact that when you're having fun, you have extra serotonin and dopamine in your brain, and actually you are much more productive. So what is this having fun all about and productivity? If you haven't heard of Shawn Achor, you spell his name SHAWN-ACHOR, Shawn Achor. He used to work at Harvard Business School and did a tremendous amount of research on the happiness advantage. So I would really, really suggest that you watch his TED Talk, invest in those 20 minutes and start to learn about how happiness changes the brain and how it absolutely makes you more productive. So there's some research that says that when you are happier and you're all running your own businesses, you are 33% more productive. So how do you build happiness into your brain, and what do you do to get that? His research even shows that medical doctors are 19% more accurate on diagnosis when they are happier. So, we're living in a society where there are so many demands and there's a lot of fear going around. Happy boosts your immune system. Happy makes you more productive, more accurate in the work that you do. And we've got to find ways that make us happy. So I really suggest that you look at the science behind it, watch the Shawn Achor video, and then B, you start to say, in my life, what are the small things I can do? So Marina and I have spoken about community and exercise. Maybe it's starting something creative. I've got some very high-flying women that I coach who have started crocheting now, and they're making fun things, anything from doilies to beautiful pot holders. But it's using that creative side of their brain while they're watching a Netflix series, etc. What are some of the fun things you can do which are replenishing for yourself? It could be cooking with family members if you weren't previously doing that. But we really need to find time for fun. The thumbs up. What are you doing with your family? We do quiz nights, we do puzzles, we try and do fun things, and they can be very simple and very cost effective. What we also do is we do little acts of kindness. So we've printed off, and I'll show you here, little cards that are just this size, and we have these lying around the house, and we will write on the back, hi mom, please could you do an act of kindness? So my one daughter, the 23-year-old, just started working, and she's battling to make ends meet because she's living in a digs. And I got one of these the other night. Hi mom, could you please paint my toenails for me? And like, toes are my worst thing. Like, don't bring me your toes. But guess what? I painted her toenails. So happiness also comes from doing acts of kindness. And it could be for your family members, or it could be, my daughter, Marina, that I took for a walk on Monday morning, it was a 3K walk, and bought her that coffee. And then there was a guy standing near the coffee shop. And I said to my daughter, I'm just going to buy him a cup of coffee. It's so jolly chilly. So she said, I don't know if he needs a cup of coffee. I said, no, he needs a cup of coffee. Like, like, be kind, acts of kindness. I mean, I might never see the guy again, but he looked very, he was living on the street with a blanket around him. So time for fun is time for fun for yourself, self-compassion, and obviously acts of kindness for others, whether you know them or not. So that brings me to the end of Boost. So the way to from here, Marina, if you'll please put this in the chat box. And in the chat box, I would like you to put info, I-N-O, at resilient people, RESILIENT, people.co.za. So here's the deal, ladies, and I always think of reciprocity in terms of energy and work ethic, is that if you email me on info@resilient people, you will get 3 gifts. So what are those 3 gifts? I'm going to tell you what they are, and then I'm going to reiterate what you need to put in your email. The 3 gifts are, 1, I wrote the book, Fight Fatigue and Experience. So you'll get the ebook. The second thing is you'll get a Boost poster summarizing what I've spoken about this morning. And the third thing is you will get a link to Gillian Bork. I think you know Gillian
Yes.
Bork's father, don't you?
Yeah.
And I love his 7-day high mental performance course. So you're going to get a free link to his high mental performance. It's 7 days of just 11 minutes a day, and it's a game changer. I started doing it in February last year. So you're going to get those 3 things should you email info@resilient people. What should you email? So you've written Boost down the left-hand side of your page. Is I want you just to put any tiny behavior. Someone said B stands for behavior. Well, B stands for behavior for everything here. It might be, okay, Joni, I'm going to get a pair of blue blockers. And the blue blockers, by the way, if you want, we get 8% off the retail price, and they are really reasonable, like 399 Rand. You can get some for 299 Rand. You go to our website, which is www.resilientpeople.co.za. So it might be that I'm going to get some blue blockers. It might be that I'm going to set my alarm to go to bed earlier so I can get my 7 hours sleep. So that's under your B. Under your O for oxygen, it might be that you're going to stand up and do 10 squats next to your desk every hour, or you're going to get a rebounder. Under your O for open your heart, it might be that you're going to print off the Plutchik wheel of emotions. Under the S for stop sugar, start supplements, it might be that you're going to make sure that you only have one after supper, but not a dessert with sugar in it. And then the time for fun, I want to know what you're doing for time for fun. So I need you to email me, not every letter if you don't want to. Let's be authentic here. You might not be doing 5 things differently. It might be 1 or 2 things differently, but aligned to the BOOST acronym, to boost 5 ways to boost your resilience, which is what this morning's all been about. So should you email me with specificity on what your behavior you're going to change, you will get the 3 gifts. Here's the deal, and I'm strict about this. Should you email me and go, hey, Joni, great talk, thank you, get the 3 gifts. I need to know the behavior that you're going to change.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marina.
We appreciate that, and I must say, it's sitting at your house. Maybe a couple of us want to move in. But what you always say is true. It's tiny changes, simple things. And I think all of us have learned so many practical tips. I don't underestimate for one moment your valuable time. I know that you are in huge demand out there in the corporate world, and hopefully we can introduce you to a lot of property platforms. I thank you for your warmth and your encouragement, and most importantly, I feel that you are a mighty and potent sounding board for all of us to get back to basics, to get back to our priorities, and to trust the important things in life. And I really hope that everybody's enjoyed this as much as I have. Thank you so much. Thanks for
pleasure. Thank you, Maria and Marina. Bye-bye, everybody.
Cheers. Thanks, guys. See you next time.